And then John Mara said, hey, he's not getting traded. So there you have it, Steve.
That's right.
But he got through his shot. That's the most important thing.
Yes,
he
of
got
course.
through his shot.
Absolutely.
There you have it. Good job, Stevie. Nice to talk to you today.
Oh, of course. My pleasure.
Susan Slusser covers the A's and Giants in the Bay Area. Long time no chat. She does a great job. Susan, welcome. How are you today? Okay?
I'm great. How are you doing, Chris?
Nice to talk to you. We've been doing these duet teams, Cubs and White Sox, Mets and Yankees, and the Angels and the Dodgers. So you're next. And an opportunity now for you. Let me get some thoughts here as far as the Bay Area goes. Let's do the A's first. Major injury at their rotation, but lots of young players. They always are competitive. Is the future a little brighter forget the ballpark, is the future a little brighter on the field right now as far as the A's are concerned?
I think so. The starting pitching is a question, and that's always a tough way to go into the season. The Giants obviously have similar concerns. But I think the lineup is excellent. The best maybe the A's have had since that team that had the little 3-year playoff run. Really strong lineup, very good bullpen, and more on the way. Their farm system is in great shape. So I think they feel good about everything except for maybe the starting pitching situation.
And they got a good corner situation at third and first base. Tell us about those two players, Susan. What can you tell me about the Chapman and the other kid at third and first? Both players, good players. Let me hear your thoughts on that for a sec.
Yeah, Matt Olson, the first baseman, big kid, 6'4", 6'5", and his home run per 9-inning rate last year was off the charts, sort of the fourth best in history, under 200 at bats or whatever. Small sample size, obviously, but 24 homers in very, very short order. So a lot of power and a nice defensive player. When you talk about defense, Matt Chapman at third base is spectacular. He had the second most defensive runs saved at third last year behind Nolan Arenado, and he didn't even play a half a season. So you extrapolate that over a whole season, and he's leading the majors by far. He's a special defensive player. Has some power. Might not hit for average, but the A's will take it. I mean, really, these are two guys that are going to be in Oakland. I know everybody laughs when I say this, but they're going to be in Oakland for a long time.
Wow, how about that? So you like the corner, and you got Chris Davis from Milwaukee who can still do his thing. You got a good manager, too. Melvin's a good guy to deal with media-wise, and he's a good manager with what he's got to work with. The Yankees wanted to talk to him, and the A's said no. We all know from Billy Ball that Art Howe never loved Billy Beane, and maybe vice versa, but he does seem to like Bob Melvin. How about Melvin for a sec, Susan? What can you tell me about him?
Yeah, for me, he's just about as good as it gets. He does a great job managing veterans and young players, which is tough to do. He manages up. He gets along great with the front office, which is hard to do, as has been documented. He does very well with the media. Fans love him. He's local. He's from the Bay Area, grew up in Menlo Park and went to Cal. So, I mean, honestly, if you had to draw up a manager, he would be better than you could even dream up, I think.
Wow, so he's that good for the city. All right, now, pitching-wise, they just lost a kid to Tommy John. You say the bullpen's good. Let's talk about the rotation. Most folks who follow baseball don't even know that many guys in the Oakland rotation. Give me a little quick thumbnail of what to expect with their starting five. What can you tell me there?
Well, you're going to laugh because two guys that I'm going to say that could be in the rotation within 2 or 3 weeks are Brett Anderson and Trevor Cahill, who have both been re-signed.
Wow.
And Cahill will go down to get in some starts in the minors. Anderson's already in the minors trying to get in some work. But Kendall Graveman was the A's opening day starter last year. He will be again this year. Sean Manaea is a very nice talent. But Jarrell Cotton has had Tommy John surgery. A.J. Puck, who is the star of the A's minor league system, their number one pitching prospect, he's down with what they're calling bicep soreness, but they haven't addressed it even on the record. And I suspect maybe there's more going on there. And Paul Blackburn, who was excellent last year in a sort of a 6-week span, he's gone down with a forearm tightness, and you don't like to hear forearm tightness. So they've got some issues. Daniel Mengden's in there now. Daniel Gossett's in there now. They need some help in the starting pitching area.
Before we get to the Giants and the ballpark, their over-under number is 75.5. Where would you go?
I think a little higher. I think they could get to 500.
Do you really?
Very nice
Wow.
for a team.
Yeah,
it's a team that's announced a rebuilding. It's a pretty full rebuild. I think that would be a nice mark for them to hit. I think they can do it. It's with a caveat that the starting pitching is really going to have to exceed expectations.
All right, now the ballpark. I know they had that community college said no. I don't know if the A's have gone back to their drawing board or have tried to convince the area to sell them the land. Where do we know with the ballpark? Is there hope? What's the update in the last 5-6 months with the ballpark right now, getting out of Alameda?
It's a very interesting situation going on now. The A's have offered to essentially take on all the debt that the city and county has over the very nice, in one case, very nice expansion and update at the arena, and then, of course, the not-so-nice addition of Mount Davis. So it's $135 million worth of debt. They would take it on, and they would take over the whole Coliseum and arena area. However, they're still not even saying that that's where they would necessarily build. They want to make sure it remains an option. They don't want somebody else to come in and build it. So that's an interesting development. The noises they've been making, though, Chris, in the last month or so has been much more positive toward the Coliseum than what I've heard for years and years and years. The area at the port, the terminal, Howard Terminal, is not it's got so many obstacles. It actually is not really a downtown site. It's quite a hike from downtown. No BART station nearby. Lots of cleanup. You'd have to orientate the ballpark towards downtown Oakland and away from the water anyway because of the sun. So I think the Coliseum is the most practical measure, and the fact that the A's are now looking into just buying the site themselves, I think indicates pretty strongly that.
So in other words, that community college thing now is out. The place they wanted.
Yeah, I mean, the community college board said no, we don't want to talk to you. So I think the A's went they're still on the list, but there's not much they can do if the community college doesn't want to talk.
Boy, it's amazing that community college has that kind of power to force the A's maybe to move. I mean, that is hard to believe, right?
Well, they own the land. The A's were going to buy the land, and then the community college might just be as simple as that. Or maybe they're holding out for a lot more money, but the fact that they wanted to end talks, that doesn't seem like very smart negotiating tactics.
Right, but in the long term, with the Raiders leaving, you still think the A's will find a solution in Oakland, correct?
Yeah, I mean, especially if they manage to buy the Coliseum site. Then they control the whole housing. They could put up shopping, retail, dining, all sorts of options. And if they can't go downtown, which they really couldn't do anyway, you know what? Maybe developing their own site. Northern California area, I think it's the population like 2 million, and then they could have themselves a nice little moneymaker.
All right, so we'll see. Quickly on the Giants, Susan, Bumgarner's a big injury. I know they've had a pretty good spring. People feel pretty confident about them despite the age, but this is a big blow. Let me hear a thumbnail on San Francisco with the Gents. What do you see as far as 2018 is concerned?
Well, yeah, same boat as the A's. Really tough knocks at the starting pitching between Bumgarner. Samardzija out for a while with a strained pec muscle. He did not look good at all during the spring. And they're old, you're right. I don't think that they have the farm system, the up-and-coming guys necessarily that the A's do. They're going to have to do things a little differently. We know they have the wherewithal when it comes to signing players, and they've got the money to do some stuff. I'm not sure that they have the system to make some deals in, so they might be looking at a little bit of a slow road there, I think. Yeah, I don't see them as much as the A's, but from what I've seen during the spring, I'm not sure I would,
Is there any feeling is there any fed upness? And they did win 3 championships, so they can't complain too much. Is the bloom off the rose with the Giants a little bit fan wise or not?
You know what? Their attendance certainly was not as robust last year as it has been in previous years. Their ratings were not as good. So, I think they've got to sell the fans on the fact that they are trying to do, and they certainly made that's a good faith effort bringing in some name guys in the off season. McCutcheon's a great ad, really brings some personality to the clubhouse. Obviously, Longoria is a guy that people are familiar with. Some nice moves, but older. Really, I'm not sure if it helps their window.
Yes, and how about, they should score some runs, so the question is Bumgarner and Samardzija, 2 losses in that rotation. They could get off they have the Dodgers a lot of games early in the year, Susan, so the Giants could find themselves in big trouble early on with the schedule and no 2 starters in the rotation, correct?
Yeah, I think they are definitely, they need to get off to a good start, and I don't think they have a very easy schedule to do it, so they could be looking at another rough one. Chris, I hate to tell you that. I know you're No,
I understand that. No, I think they, that injury, I don't think they're going to be knocked out of the postseason in the first 6 weeks of the season, but I do think the Giants could struggle. Their over number is 82. Would you go over or under the Giants?
Under.
You would? Wow.
I would. Now, again, I don't see them as much as just a little bit in the Bay Bridge Series and during Cactus League play. But yeah, they've got issues to sort out. Same with the A's. It could be a long season in the Bay Area, but the A's definitely are trending upward with the young staff and the young players they have.
Good job, Susan. Thanks for the update and the ballpark stuff, too. Always a pleasure. Keep up the good work. Appreciate you coming on here today.
Fantastic. Thanks, Chris.
You got it, Susan Slusser. Thoughts. We continue here on Mad Dog.